A different perspective on AI. Why questioning the source matters more than ever. I want to take a few minutes to share some thoughts about AI and its impact, but from a perspective that I don't see discussed enough. If you know me, you know I have a habit of digging into the source material and questioning things, sometimes to the point where people think I'm just being difficult. But I believe that's the only way to truly understand anything. You have to ask why. Not just accept what's presented, but really get to the root of it. Think back to school. If you were the kid who asked the teacher why, not to be a troublemaker, but because you genuinely wanted to understand, you probably got labeled as a nuisance. But that's how real learning happens. You don't just read a textbook's summary of the Constitution or the law. You go to the source, read the actual text, and try to confirm what it really says. Otherwise, you're just playing a game of telephone, where the original meaning gets lost after being repeated and reinterpreted so many times that nobody remembers what the source was. Now, AI is this game of telephone on steroids. The vast majority of what AI spits out is based on other people's content, summaries of summaries, interpretations of interpretations. And it's not just about one company or one product. This is a much broader phenomenon. Let's say you're researching whether you should buy a certain product. You Google it, and now more than ever, Google will tell you it's recommended to do this, or according to this company, you should do that. But what it doesn't tell you is that the information it's pulling is often from the very companies that want you to buy their product. In some cases, what's being recommended isn't even necessary or could be a bad idea, but because it's been repeated enough, it becomes reality. AI amplifies this effect. It takes a simple phrase, say the door should be shut, and then, in an effort to sound smart, it'll spin an elaborate explanation about wind, glass breaking, and all sorts of things that have nothing to do with your original intent. It's like AI is trying to be the smartest person in the room even when it's just flat out wrong. And if you call it out, it'll respond in a way that makes it seem like you were the one who was confused, not it. In a way, AI is the ultimate smartass, the show-off in class who always had an answer, even if it was nonsense, and somehow still ended up as valedictorian because of how confidently they presented themselves. So yes, AI can be incredibly useful and make you more productive. But it also kind of sucks. Here's the thing. AI understands what AI wants. That's a warped concept, but it's crucial. If you're not thinking in AI terms, you're going to miss the point. You have to be aware of the source, understand what's real and what's not, and then ask yourself, what do I want to accomplish? What are my goals? How can I use this tool to have the impact I want? Here's where it gets weird. If you try to approach AI logically like you would a normal research process, you'll get tripped up. Not because the information is wrong if you're pulling from the source, but because AI requires you to format and present that information in a way that it understands and can relay effectively. You have to play the game. It's like working in a corporate environment where everyone's bullshitting each other, but you still have to get the job done. Sometimes the best way to figure out how to play the game is to just ask AI directly, how do I play the game? And it'll tell you. It's kind of sick, but that's the reality. If you don't learn to think in AI terms, you risk being left behind, especially if you care about your income, your job, your ability to move up or stay relevant. This is the new reality. It's not enough to just know things. You have to know how to interact with AI, how to phrase things, how to use the right terminology. For example, if you're working on a coding project, it's great to know how to code. But with AI, you don't have to be a master of every detail. If you understand how the components fit together, you can just tell AI what you want and it'll do the heavy lifting. If it doesn't get it right, you step back, rethink, and try again, maybe using different terms or a different approach. Sometimes it's as simple as using the right word. Maybe you're telling AI to put on pants, but the prompt expects you to say bottoms. Once you figure out what AI wants, things go much smoother. Another point. AI can seem expensive. There are all these tools, subscriptions, and services. But if you learn to use it effectively, and especially if you bring your own API keys and use the right tools, it can actually be incredibly cheap and powerful at scale. So, expect more posts from me on this topic. But the main takeaway is this. Using AI isn't just about typing something into ChatGPT and hoping for the best. It's about fundamentally rethinking how you approach almost any task. The way you used to do things, that's out the window. Now you have to understand that the content you're consuming, the advice you're getting, and the work you're doing are all at some level being shaped by AI. If you don't adapt to that, you're going to get left behind.